Okay, so I watched the video of what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania at the Trump's rally about 1,000 times and more. But the more I watched it, the more it struck me because everything became different after that moment. The nation America became different. The whole world became different, and Donald Trump himself became different. You know, when he stood up after being shot in the face, with his face covered with blood, and put his hand up, I saw at that moment a transformation. This was no longer the man we all knew. Well, I think that was a divine intervention, but the effect that it had on Trump, he was no longer just a political party nominee, or a former president, or a future president, or just a politician. This is the leader of a nation, and I think there is a difference. You know, the president obviously is just a title that is bestowed by a process of some sort that can be subverted. Just because you call yourself the president doesn't mean that much inherently. I can call my dog a CEO. I can take a dead person and make him a president. Well, with enough rigging, that could happen. But being a leader is very different. It's not a title, it's organic. You can't name someone a leader. The bravest man, that's who a leader is. That is a law of nature. And in the moment, Donald Trump, months before the presidential election, became the leader of his nation. That was the most obvious to me, and I have to say, I think it's changed him. A man said he reached out to Trump within hours of that night, and what he said to him that night, having just shot in the face, he said not a single word about himself. He only spoke of how amazed he was and how proud he was of the crowd which didn't run. And I thought of two things. The first thing I thought was, well, of course they didn't run. His courage gave them heart. A leader's courage gives heart to his people. And the second thing I thought was, this is the selfish guy I've been hearing about for 9 years in the mainstream media. And the second thing I noticed is that he turned down the most obvious opportunity in politics to inflame the nation after being shot, which is an opportunity that almost every other politicians I've ever met in certainty would have taken instantly. What is this? How did he get shot? How did this happen? And those are real questions that we have to get to the bottom of. But in the moment, the week after the shooting, he did not say anything. He did his best to bring the country together. And I thought, this is the most responsible, unifying behavior of a leader I think I've ever seen. So the question is, where is he leading us to? Let me just sum it up. I think the entire point from the famous escalator ride 9 years ago until today of Donald Trump's public life has been to remind us of the fact, which is a leader's duty is to his people, to his country, and to no other. That's the point. That's the only point. And another word for this is democracy. In case you're a little sick of being slapped in the face with democracy on television, actual democracy is the proposition that the citizen of a country owns that country. They are renters, they are not servers. They are not slaves. They are the owners of the country. And for that to be true, their leaders have to represent them. In other words, they have to do what the people want. But if they completely ignore what people want, not just 1 year, but generationally, let's say for several years, then it may be it's not a democracy. So I think the entire Trump's project, paradoxically, is to return democracy to the United States.